Is this it?
This is it. We're live.
Back?
We're back.
Well, hey, this is the legacy of ours. Have you ever said something and you're like, damn, I shouldn't have said that? And my job may be in jeopardy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Well,
Oh
we're going to
yeah.
talk about it. It's me, Drew, a host, my co host, Nieto. I know we're missing Nelson. He's got some things going on, but we want to first make a toast. It's tradition. We want to make a toast to free speech and the people that we can say what we want and we can talk about it and have an open discussion. So here's to the people and being open minded.
Oh yeah. It's a legacy.
Oh, you got
I got
whiskey
fixed.
in there?
Yeah, 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 yeah. You know
You
what
do?
I'm saying? Yeah.
We were
Nah.
talking off air about like alcohol, and I got shit faced last time, and you told me not to talk about it on the podcast because we want to like make y'all believe that we have a sound mind, but we don't. But we were talking, we were talking about alcohol, and you don't process it. You said like, are you just not a big drinker
I'm not a big drinker, so I stopped becoming a big drinker. Um,
after the first
like
few DUIs,
no. I think it
or is
was
it
like
DWI?
the first 3 years of the military. Like I never knew how fucking much people drink in the military until experiencing it myself.
I thought y'all can't get that shit. I thought it's like being in prison, so you got to sneak that
No,
shit in.
the only time that we can't get it is whenever we go like overseas training and stuff. That's the
Oh,
only time
really?
we're not allowed to drink. But even then, like sometimes we drink.
Oh,
But it's
good.
and I mean they drink a lot. Like they drink till they make sure like their liver is completely
It's shot.
shot. Yeah.
It's like waiting until your phone dies all the way versus charging it. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
so how long am I gonna get?
Yeah. And then even then, like we'll continue to drink. And then the next morning we have to go do PT. And then
Damn.
yeah,
Do you
it's
think people rely on it more in the military? You think
I
because
I think
it's
so.
like it's an escape.
Yeah, I think
You
so.
know? Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And like I said, and after the third year, I just couldn't handle it no more. These were pros.
Yeah.
I am
You
not
trying to keep
no.
up with people?
I
Like,
was trying to keep up. Like
oh,
I thought I was a good drink. I thought I can keep up. And sure enough, for 3 years straight, I was always the first one shit faced.
yeah.
Always the first one shit faced. Now, obviously, like the newcomers and stuff that came in and stuff, like we try to like, basically, you know, like, hey, you can't keep up with us. Like I'll be outperforming them and everything. But
Right.
even then, like,
People have pride for that. Like they can handle. You know who's a big drinker? Bert Kreischer. Have you ever seen? He's a shirtless fat dude. He's a comedian. You got to check him out. He's on Netflix. Maddie likes his comedy a lot.
yeah,
But this dude was like known to be like a big drinker.
yeah,
And it's like that was his thing. Like he's outgoing it and like trying to. I don't know. How do you fucking like? When do you figure out like you're good at that? Like how many times do you have to? Like for me, like I got shit faced last weekend, and I didn't. I don't ever want to do it again. But yeah, yet here I'm drinking. But
right,
like I think that shit will scare me straight. Where I don't like being that uncomfortable. Having the
yeah.
room spin is the worst fucking feeling.
The worst. I hate whenever we're just when you're just laying there
Yeah.
and it's spinning.
So a friend of mine who's a big drinker, he's like, "Oh, you got to lay on the bed with your foot on the ground, like almost laying halfway on your bed." He said it helps him stay connected to reality.
That's too much. It's too
You
much.
know, and I'm not a big drinker. Like obviously, when I started working, we started doing this. Like obviously, you guys make me drink, so like now I'm
That's not true.
alcoholic now. But like I'm not like I train so much. Like back when I was training to the point where like I was like trying to like get to a low body fat percentage, not
Mhm.
to be like a bodybuilder, but like I was more conscious of like, oh, it's wasted calories and shit like that. And it just became a habit to where like I didn't need it.
Yeah.
You know, that's what mushrooms were for. If I wanted to have a good time. And I'm kidding. I've heard like doing mushrooms, like you have to be in the right state of mind. You know what I mean?
No,
Because
no.
you can have a bad trip. I don't know shit about it. It's the people that I know that
Right,
have done
right.
it. But like, yeah, I've never been a big drinker. It became a habit where it was like something I didn't do. So when I would drink, I would get fucked up on like a truly or something. And I'd be like, oh my God, like this is terrible.
God
So
damn.
the worst experience I've had with alcohol was, have you ever had an Irish car bomb?
No.
So it's like Guinness, and then it's like, uh, look it up. It
Irish car bomb.
yeah, it's like it's almost like it's frothy,
Mhm.
and
Ew.
it's Guinness and Jameson, and
Oh,
you
it's like,
it's a stout. I know Guinness is a stout.
yeah,
It's like creamy maybe.
yeah. I don't like dark liquor
Oh
or
my god.
dark
I
whatever
had
the
like
fuck
3
this
of
is.
those, and ever since, like, then, like, even the smell of Guinness would make me, like,
Mhm.
wanna vomit, and it was,
Yeah,
like, the worst experience I've ever had,
yeah,
and so but anyway, yeah, so what'd you do this weekend?
bro. Well, I'm supposed to be in a sling right now.
What?
I'm supposed to be in a sling. I was playing soccer. I got tripped. I tried to uh, Spider-Man the shit and like kind of roll off the the trip,
Mhm.
and I landed on my shoulder, on my left shoulder. So right now I can't even lift it, even though it looks like I'm doing a lot of shit with my left arm. I'm
Yeah.
really not. But I'm supposed to be in a sling right now because I have an AC separated shoulder. So the ligament that's connected to my shoulder blade and the collarbone seems, or at least what the doctor thinks, seems like it's torn. Now
Oh,
we don't know the degree of it. We're still waiting to schedule an MRI, but
look
I've
at
been
you
in a
trying to
lot of
be,
pain.
what kinda meds they got you on? Vitamins or something? I don't know shit about
Ibuprofen.
drugs.
This is army shit, bro. This is ibuprofen. That's it. Ibuprofen
Oh,
fix
really?
everything. Yeah, yeah. They told me to take ibuprofen, take a knee, and drink water.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah,
while you're in excruciating pain.
I'm in
Damn.
excruciating pain. So
So you have to go in and figure out like how bad is it, and then healing and different things like that.
mhm.
Is there like anything like surgery tied to that? I don't know if you
Yeah, if
look
it's
into.
a type 3, um, like a type 3 tear,
Yeah.
then I would it's that literally means like the collarbone and the shoulder blade is completely detached from each other. So I would have to get surgery to get it reattached. Type 2 is like it's torn, but it's still attached. And then a
Yeah.
type 3 is like a micro tear.
Mhm. Did
So
we talk about the Neuralink before last episode or no?
we hit on it. Not the episode before. I think it was the couple episodes ago.
You're talking about,
We
no, I'm
hit
not
on it.
talking about the bots, the microbots. I'm talking about
Oh,
Neuralink. Um, Elon Musk is his thing. Have you heard of that? You've heard
oh
the
no,
news.
no, I haven't.
Yeah, you have. Okay, so the Neuralink is where they had this paraplegic guy, and they put the chip in his brain or whatever.
Hmm.
Details I don't know, but he was now able, like he can play video games with his mind, and like now, like it did have issues. I think a few connectors or whatever
Hmm.
disconnected, so they'd go in. It was like 6 months, and then he was already having problems with it.
Hmm.
Well, and, like obviously now, like he can play video games with his mind. He can like download shit. I think he said he was learning different languages. And so, like, as far as like science and shit, like maybe they'll give you a chip. Like if your shoulder's that fucked up, like, like even for people, like I think like the end result is for people who are like can't walk, like it could then send the signal to the brain whether they can
Right,
walk and shit. So
right,
you
right.
may be like Wolverine or some shit.
So I just pulled it up. and
Yeah.
Neuralink.com. It's refining boundaries of human capabilities require pioneers. And I'm assuming this is the quadriplegic that you were talking about?
Yeah, maybe. He looks
Because
like a
there's
paraplegic,
they're
but not
currently seeking them
quadriplegic.
at the moment to participate in a new groundbreaking investigational medical device. So I
Yeah.
mean,
We
y-
had Elijah on last week, and you guys are talking about trading and whatnot.
yeah.
And speaking, and this does tie to this. So, like, obviously, Elon Musk, he does SpaceX. He
Hmm.
owns X. He's doing the Neuralink. He's also doing Starlink, which is like a connection
Hmm.
for people to get internet connection. I think even one article I read was that he had placed a Starlink in this like tribe, right? And now
Hmm.
they were able to get connected to the internet. And then as soon as they gave the internet, the younger people quit interacting and they were addicted to pornography. Like nobody would do shit. Like it made everybody lazy. And they're like, get this fucking shit out of here. Like our young people, like that's all they did was like fucking go in there and like jack off and shit. And so like Elon Musk is I'm telling you, it's like, and then they didn't want to be social. Like it tells you how social media,
Yeah.
changes. Um, so yeah, so he does the Starlink, and I bring up Elijah because we were talking about day trading, and
Hmm.
it was Ross Gerber. Anyway, he was like the high one, like one big stockholder um for Tesla. Was good. It
Okay.
was talks about him selling $60 million of Tesla stock, which would be obviously probably detrimental
Right. Right.
just
Right.
because Elon Musk was focusing more of his robot, his humanoid robot. Have you heard of those? He's
Not really.
making these robots that he wants to sell at a certain point,
Hmm.
and they're in home. And he says that like, and the guy's going up. He did an interview and he's talking about like he's not focusing enough on the Tesla market. He's focusing on other markets, which is now um, causing where like they're not as profitable. And so like now he's focusing on what he calls the humanoids. And like there's like and they have you ever seen iRobot?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
And I was gonna say that. I was gonna
Yes.
mention that. It sounds like a
Look it
lot
up,
like
dude.
iRobot.
It's like an inverted like of iRobot, like the face in
What's
iRobot.
it called?
It's Elon Musk. Type in humanoid. It's like his robot. I think there was like a Gen 3. You can look it up on YouTube. And yeah, it's like an assistant. Or it does whatever the fuck you want to do. And so he's saying nobody wants a robot in their house. Like, who wants that? And of course, you had the select few, like tech
Right.
reviewers. Of course, all the tech reviewers are going to want it. Like, the first person to put out a YouTube video of this humanoid robot in action doing shit is going to be the person that's going to get all the views. So, like, obviously, tech people are going to run a review that. But
Right.
he's
Right.
saying, I
Right.
don't see an everyday market for everyone. So he's saying that it would be roughly like $30,000 to own one. He said it would be half of like, yeah, I mean, dude, and there's like another, I think, yeah, Gen 3, I think, is right there.
Hold on.
But maybe like if you're like, I don't know, even someone who lives alone, would you want that?
I don't know. I mean, it'll be good for chores and stuff if these like if they move this slow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not, you know what I'm saying? So like that's like, yeah. It's
All right, let's
insane
see.
Mark
just
my
like
words, AI is far more dangerous than nukes.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I won. This is a good beginning of my plan to dominate the human race.
Mark,
yeah, there's a lot of
Bro,
scary
that
shit
is
about it.
scary.
Dude,
That
that
is
is a
fucking
lot of scary
scary.
shit. It is going to I think there's already and I should have done more research on it, but anyway, y'all can look it up. I think there was Elon Musk and a few other men working on AI, and one guy was like saying, "Don't do it, don't proceed," and he ends up dropping out, and he's like, "Don't
Right.
pursue it." I think there was a clip that I seen on Instagram that it
Hmm.
was Chat GBT, like their update, and they put two Chat GBTs talking to each other, and they start talking about like the negatives of maybe the human race. I don't know again the details on it, but they were like having an open dialogue about like this somewhat overtaking or like how maybe advanced they are compared to the human race. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
it's pretty nuts, you know. And so like now going back, so they're saying that we're investing more in AI technology
Hmm.
than how profitable it is right now. But even for like, okay, Chat GPT, there was an issue with schools because they were saying that kids were using it, right? So now they put more regulations. Now I was also looking at there's going to be a software, I think there is one even out now, where like even for like production and doing things like that, like movie production, you could literally go and type out what you have an idea for, and it would generate a movie based on what you're saying, and it looks high quality, like shit that would take millions and millions of dollars to even
Yeah.
make. So it's like now it's like, can anybody be a producer? Can anybody, do any type of effects? Like it's just gonna be crazy. So now people who are really creative, this is tap into like their genre of like work. Now
Hmm.
you can see even like white collar jobs, like being a doctor or nurse, even a lawyer.
Hmm.
AI can then pull information so quickly compared to like us having to go search it, even a Google search. Whereas they are the search, they are the engine. So it's like this entity. I was having a conversation with my eldest about it and just telling her about AI and just all the crazy shit that, and obviously I'm a conspiracy theorist a little bit. And she's like, it's insane what you can fucking do.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's a reality soon. I mean, it's reality now.
Now, is AI like controlled everywhere within the world, or is it just mainly focused here in the United States?
No, I think everybody is trying to get a little piece of it. I think that's why we invest so much in it because it's always trying to perfect it.
Right. It's trying to evolve.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think there's a point where it starts to evolve in itself. And that's where that line is, where now it doesn't need us to evolve and it
Hmm.
can evolve in a more rapid rate. I think I seen another clip where there was like Ubers that are self-driven. Okay.
Hmm.
So it's like now you have people driving cars because as humans, we make mistakes. So we have
Right.
accidents,
Right.
clearly, whether that's
Yeah.
either out of not having an intent of being reckless, but like let's say just something happens, whether it's weather, but then you have people who drive drunk or under the influence of drugs and shit.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have a computer driving your car, it's not going to make those same mistakes. So some people also have this speculation of like that they're going to soon require people to have like autopilots and shit like that. So, but
But
anyway, I know I
that
could go down.
that is crazy. That No, no, that's crazy because the only thing that I can think of is iRobot. I don't know why. It just makes me want to just go watch this movie now. But like for that humanoid robot, like who could possibly need that besides a quadriplegic or even just
Yeah,
someone who's,
true, true.
what I'm saying?
What if, I could see them having it in old folks' homes, like retirement homes. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like they could be like also there doing maybe some now. And how would that work with like some of the labor market? Like could it and it will, like, you would maybe advance to where, like, you may not need a dishwasher in the back of a restaurant, you know what I mean? Like,
That's very true.
you may not need someone to do, like, I don't know, whatever, because you have a machine to do it now. So, like
Right. I mean, it can help me in my real estate business, you know what I'm saying? Instead of hiring somebody to clean the houses after a tenant
yeah.
leaves.
You think people are gonna start investing it in their own businesses? Like, okay, like, let's say, like, I am owning a cleaning service. If I invest X amount of dollars to maybe get a few AI robots to then go and clean for me, and like, would I actually like make more money in the long run because now I can clean and sell more homes? Or let's say like you have someone who is more like based on time and you need
Mhm.
a body there who can probably do it better than a human. And obviously one thing that's great about us is that we can obviously adjust as we go,
Mhm.
but who's to say that AI probably could do that at a faster like rate. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
they'll make less mistakes. But I mean that would
True.
be, but I don't know, you would have to spend a lot of money because that shit is not going to be cheap.
It's not gonna be cheap.
Even if you
I'm
did it,
sure like fucking Warren Buffett's gonna buy a few just to clean his
Yeah.
house and fire his maids and shit like
But
that.
they made a movie, I forget, it was on Disney. It's where this is something like that. It was almost like an Apple. An Apple, it was not Apple, but a company like Apple where they had this thing where they were I can't think of the name of the damn movie. And they were producing or showing the world this new product, and then the product and the old software was upset because he can see the human or was actually preferring a different software or this new product, and so then the
Mhm.
machine took over, and so then you had this family who had to then fight the machine to try to delete the software that was running the world. And it was literally just a software that felt
Hmm.
superior. So, like, yeah, this shit is kind of like, out there.
Yeah.
So,
I think I know what you're talking about. Is it the movie where the brother dies? Um,
that could be
and
any
he's
Disney
like,
movie. They love killing people.
oh, they love it.
Everybody,
I feel like we have to pay attention to Disney movies because a lot of the shit happens. You know what
yeah,
I'm saying?
just like The
Like
Simpsons.
nanobites, like the
Yes,
movie with
Big Hero
nanobites.
6.
Big Hero Six.
Big
Yeah,
Hero 6. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm telling you. They're telling us. They're
They're
telling us
telling us
what.
something.
Yeah, for sure. But like The Simpsons, like they say that Matt Groening, the writer,
Right,
and
right.
and I'm sure there's other people, but like they predicted so many things. Like even like there was one video of Trump on an escalator,
Mm-hmm.
and Simpsons did an episode where he was on an escalator and Trump was running for president, and it was like right before. So there's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
That,
No, I get it. I get it. It's crazy.
yeah,
Now, I mean, so so let's tie this back into the show,
yeah.
right? So
I
the
know. We
episode is
me and you can
called
talk.
we can talk forever. So the episode is called "Don't Say Too Much,"
Yeah.
right? Now, at least for me, that basically is a strategic silence of like maintaining power.
Hmm.
Um, is basically like not showing all your cards whenever it
Sure.
comes to a business situation or even with just your friends and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I know friends are supposed to be friends and shit, but sometimes they do take advantage of what you do have and stuff.
Yeah.
So how would this tie to, at least in America standpoint, like how would this tie to all the other countries? You know what I'm saying? As a military, I guess more in a military or even like a retail aspect,
Hmm.
because then we're not going to need China for their goods and stuff, because then we can build it here because we got all these robots. Even though there's already warehouses full of robot
Yeah.
arms assembling things.
Yeah.
So it kind of like it bobbles my mind of how much advanced we are, but yet we still kind of live behind other countries that
Yeah.
use their AIs and stuff. Like for example, I'm not entirely sure how true this is. China was using their AI and made some type of like helmets for children in their and like so that way they can know how children actually learn things.
Oh, so it was
So
like it was able to like
it
see like
was
their
able to,
learning rate.
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So whether they're like audio learners or
get the
um
hell out of here.
no, I swear
That's
I'm gonna actually gonna
crazy.
look it up. It is crazy how well like
Hmm.
China is just thinking about their future compared to how we think about our
Now
future.
you think like the U.S. talking about that, talking about like holding cards, you know? Like, what if
Mm-hmm.
the U.S. is like that? Like, okay, motherfucker, you showing us that you have that, but you don't know what we got back here. Like, we've been working like tirelessly. Like, we're holding kind of what we have because if you seen
Yeah,
what we got, like, we got alien
exactly.
fucking back here, like,
All
and
right, so
they
here's
producing some crazy shit.
so here's China using artificial intelligence in classrooms.
红色是表示你的专注力显示的很高，
Teachers at this primary school in China
蓝色是走神了。
know exactly when someone isn't paying attention.
就是你可能跟网络还没有连接好。
These headbands measure each student's level of concentration. The information is then directly sent to the teacher's computer and to parents.
That's crazy.
China
can't
has
hide
big
shit.
plans to become a global
can't
leader
hide shit.
in artificial intelligence. It has enabled a cashless economy where people make purchases with their faces.
Now I
A
know we have
giant network of
something like
surveillance
that
cameras with
within
facial
some like
recognition
convenience stores and
helps
stuff,
police monitor citizens.
but it seems like
Meanwhile, some
They
schools
also
offer
aren't we talking
glimpses
about
of
this?
what
They
the
have, like,
future
some
of
social
high-tech
credit score thing,
education
too.
in the country might
Like,
look
you
like.
can't if you fuck up in life at all at some point, like,
Classrooms have robots
it
that analyze
goes in,
students'
like,
health and engagement levels.
your ability to be
Students wear
trustworthy
uniforms
or
with
them to have
chips that track their
friends.
locations.
yeah.
There are even surveillance cameras that monitor how often students check their phones or yawn during classes. These gadgets have alarmed Chinese netizens.
These kids suffer too
But schools
much.
say it wasn't
can't
hard
be
for them
comfortable.
getting
You
parental
always
consent
feel
to
like
enroll kids into what is one of the world's largest experiments in AI education. A program that's supposed to boost students' grades while also feeding powerful algorithms.
为了就是国家的这个研究呀、发展呀，我觉得是没有问题的。
The government has poured billions of dollars into the project, bringing together tech giants, startups, and schools. We got exclusive access to a primary school a few hours outside of Shanghai.
同学们早上好。
To see firsthand how AI tech is being used in the classroom. For this 5th grade class, the day begins with putting on a brainwave sensing gadget. Students then practice meditating.
现在，想象我们眉心有一点柔和的光芒绽放。
The device is made in China and has 3
Okay, so
electrodes,
my whole thing is,
2
like,
behind the ears and 1
what is the repercussions if you're not performing? You know, do they like focus on you like in a positive way, or is it like you start getting weaned out? Like, okay, you start to fall below like what we're looking for, and now they've
Right.
already placed you in a category, and then you have this certain amount to actually catch up to where, or like what else could happen? You know what I mean? Do they start to not invest in you as much? Like, how does that work? Like, how do you? Because obviously you're losing them putting that weight. I mean, they're putting value on the kids
Mhm.
individually. Like, oh, he's really good, she's really good, this group is really good, and then there's you. Like,
Right.
you know, now I get where they're saying it's supposed to promote better like function
Mhm.
in the classroom, better, output, but wouldn't you think that has some negative effects as well? Again, you're not even like
I don't
what do
necessarily.
you
No, not necessarily, because you gotta think about it. Like all kids, they learn extremely different. Like obviously, whenever you
Yeah,
get older, you realize the type of learning pattern that you have,
yeah.
and then you start leaning towards that pattern.
Mhm.
But with kids, they don't know. So whenever they start yawning or they start getting distracted and stuff, obviously the teacher's not engaging all the kids.
Right.
So maybe they're now like separating them to like where there's auditory learners and then there visual learners,
Yeah.
hands-on
They
learners.
make it a better environment for you to succeed.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's a
And that's the
that's a
thing. Like, and I give China this, and now I'm not a.
you
I'm all
communist?
about America, bro. I'm all about USA.
You a
You know what I'm
communist.
saying? I signed the dotted line. You know what I'm saying? I've deployed and everything,
Right.
but but it's like US is distracted with all
Dude,
these
we're the
little
lowest
fucking
in, like, even education. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, we're not as advanced, but yet we are, like I know, it's such a crazy thing to think about. Like, even the things that we're talking about in the schools right now when we're talking about, like, I don't know, transgenderism or, like,
Yeah,
banning books and shit like
right.
that, and, like, what you don't want the like, these countries don't have that problem because they're not as lenient when it comes to certain traditions and values.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so and then even if you look at TikTok, the US compared to the TikTok in China, they'll put bullshit. The algorithm will be about some stupid video that we get in the US. Their TikTok
Right.
is different. Their TikTok wants them to be better. Like, okay, this is how you work through this problem, or this is how you analyze this, or this is how you get better at this. Like they're always advancing their own children.
Yeah.
But I think we're so blinded, and I think this is why they call Americans lazy, especially like we're moderately more overweight,
Yeah.
that like we don't have like the
As I drink a
structure.
Coke.
Huh?
As I drink a Coke.
But like, yeah, like they look at us like we're not equal. And I think they hate us for that because
Mhm.
we are also a very powerful country.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
but no,
No, I get it. I get it. I mean, we're bullies essentially, right?
yeah,
Especially when it
very
comes
much.
to when people like really, try to step forward.
Like foreign policy type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, when it comes to future like politics
Yeah,
and people who are actually they get to what's the word? They get to not distracted, but they get like they're easily manipulated into all these other trends and all this other
yeah.
shit that people are too worried about. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Like I don't want my kids learning about transgenders in school and stuff. I want them to learn about finances and how to make their credit score better and how they can leverage their money and their credit and all this
sure.
stuff. Where
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
think we're so focused on like making ourselves feel good. And we're
Yeah.
because like, and this is why I hate it when generally liberals hate on the country, because the reason
Hmm.
why you have the freedom to say what the fuck you believe is because you have the US military. You have the people who fought and died for your freedom. So
Yeah.
like you say that and you say about all this negative shit about America, but you take that shit in a different country. Africa would kill someone who is like gay. They've been known, like certain leaders would kill people like that. And so like just the like be who you are, but you can't hate on America because we were so spoiled. And I think that's why people hate us because
Right. Yeah.
we're lazy. But
Yeah.
we got all this wealth, and we're like separated by these oceans. And so like we're protected. 9/11 was the biggest attack on like US soil. And
Hmm.
we're not used to it. Where you have a country where they're so used to having violent attacks happen all the time. That's like
Hmm.
fuck America because they're so soft, but yet they're privileged as well. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
And so, no, I get what you're saying, but even for the kids, like you said, like, yeah, you want our kids to be taught like something that's like gonna better them. So then, like,
Hmm.
my question is like, for like, would you, if this technology came, would you allow your kids to use like a head,
Oh
like
yeah.
brainwave scanner?
Oh
Okay,
yeah. Definitely. And that's what I'm saying. Like my all three of my kids have different learning patterns, and I figure that out, especially in sports and stuff, because my oldest can literally look at it on a whiteboard. I can explain it to him, and then he can go perform it.
yeah,
My second child, he needs to see it done, and then do it,
yeah,
and then like my youngest child, she's kind of like she's starting to learn that like what how she can learn better and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like she's
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
fully there yet. So it's I don't know. Like if it came here to America and stuff and they started implementing it into the classes, I'll definitely sign a waiver saying, "Yeah, go ahead. Let's see how this works."
yeah. And I could see
You know
some
what
people
I'm
be like, "No, it's gonna make, my kid feel like they're inadequate." But I guess you can look at it. I know I'm frozen as fuck, right?
Yeah, you are. It's a
I
good
don't know what
picture
the
though.
hell happened.
It's a good picture.
Um, I know it's gonna be a meme. Um, Here, let me close this out. But no, like, yeah, like people would be like thinking, no, it makes, Billy feel like he's not inadequate or like he's not like living up to his standard. But then maybe what if it helps him like figure out how he learns?
Yeah.
And it's so I can see people arguing it turns the kids into robots, because
Hmm.
now it's like they start to lose like a childlike mindset. and I know
Well,
the
I don't
world's
think they
ending.
lose that though. I don't think they lose that. All they're doing is trying to see how interactive they are within the classroom. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
No, I get that.
So,
You know, and
so
so
I don't know. Oh, there we go. You're
I'm
back.
back.
You're back.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So I'm using uh Elgato Camera Hub, and so it
Uh-huh.
has this thing. I can't even put my fucking hands up because if I do a thumbs up, I have to
Do it.
do it under the table. But like if I do it right now, it'll do like this animation on the screen,
Do
which
it.
causes my shit. No, is
Do it.
so like if I
That's,
do this, it'll do like a thumbs up. Like it should anyway. It may be delayed.
it didn't do it.
It's gonna fucking do it.
It's
I
not
mean,
doing it.
that's what happens. I don't know. I feel like
You're lying. Now you're lying to me.
I'm not-
This is a horrible start in this
but
relationship.
no, like this. Yeah, no, it's fucking nuts, man. And the world is growing, and we have to adapt to it to like understand the kids and shit like that.
Yeah, that which
But
is the crazy part, right?
yeah, I mean, and so like even if you go back to even like thinking about when not to say too much, and
Hmm.
then just kind of tying back like to the episode.
Right.
Sometimes like even you as a parent, and even if we talk about AI, like
Hmm.
when do you start speaking out to where like now you're like targeted? And I know we were reading the book 48 Laws of Power. So like if you think about not saying too much, even the last episode is about it's about intentions, being intent.
Hmm.
Also you can look at intent as like action. So like if you say I'm gonna have an intent to like start my New Year's resolution, but maybe not just starting it but sticking with it, you have to have intent to do it. So even if you in the book it talks about suppressing your intentions so that when you make action, the people that you're working with aren't always they can't always see your next move,
Hmm.
and then they don't have time to, whether it's retaliate or maneuver through a decision or an action you made. It kind of throws them off. So I can
Yeah.
see where when you talk about not saying too much can kind of put you in a situation. So like I know plenty of parents, I'm sure, like who would talk to like school boards and say, I don't want my kids to learn this.
Hmm.
Now they're vocal. Now are their kids then targeted? And I think that's a huge thing, even when it comes to social media and a lot of this censorship. So even if we go talk about that Facebook, r- um, Mark Zuckerberg wrote a letter talking about that the Biden Harris administration had almost put pressure on them to not talk about certain things like the Hunter Biden cases,
Hmm.
or COVID, like misinformation. Like they came out and started saying that they were pressured into doing that. So, like, what happens if Mark chose not to go that route and he started to speak up? Now, like, okay, we know where you stand. Now you're going to be a target. Now we're going to
Hmm.
attack you. Just like even in comedy, like Dave Chappelle was a big one where he was attacked because he started having jokes about transgender people, and comedy is supposed to be like a neutral place. Like, comedy is a place that's not, it's, it's not rated. It's one of those movies. It's like, okay, this is
Hmm.
the not rated version, so you're about to see a lot of titties or whatever the case may be. You're gonna see some sex scenes. You may see
Yeah.
a dick here and there. It's like that's where like comedy is. It's like there is all the gloves are off, but you say too much, now you're a target. And it's
Now
the
you're a
same thing like
target. Yep.
even in like a working environment. Like you don't want to say too much for people may want to. Okay, you kind of let people know that you're smart, intelligent.
Hmm.
Are you becoming a threat? And that goes back to law 2, I believe. It's where it's like, I think it's law 2, where it's you don't outshine your master.
Yeah.
Um, and so, that is, again, you start to speak out, you start to show yourself, and then now your boss may think, okay, maybe he wants my job. And so it's scary because I think now we see more of when to be quiet, more of a day-to-day thing.
Now,
Even
do
if you
you believe? Okay, so there's a quote in the book that really stand out to me, and
okay,
it says, "The person who cannot control his words shows he cannot control himself."
sure,
Right?
I agree.
I agree also. Um, but Like when do you actually restrain yourself from actually communicating with others? Because whenever I was in the army and stuff, and whenever I was teaching classes and stuff, especially to the lower enlisted,
Mhm.
um, I always have um basically like a base, like a foundation of what I'm gonna say, so that way they what they need to hear, and then
Yeah.
I'll build off of that. And then there was always an NCO or two that would try to chime in and basically teach their way
Okay.
of doing it, which could be wrong at times,
Yeah.
but they've been doing it so long in their ways that, like, people know it's their way and stuff. And even though it's not necessarily the way that we're supposed to be teaching the people,
Mhm.
now a lot of the times I would just kind of stay quiet and let them talk.
Right.
Now, does that show a
Hmm.
sense of vulnerability or like a sense of weakness, or
'Cause are you respecting them more of their years of experience versus, like, what is the reality?
yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
That's
I
a
mean,
tough one.
that is a tough one, right? Because at least in this chapter, um, it basically it says that the less you speak, the more you maintain power.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think it
Along,
depends on the person. If you can maneuver through it, then sure. Because now
right?
you it's like getting information. And I have just information on you and I know how to strategically do it.
Hmm.
I like the quote that you mentioned because oftentimes when people speak via emotion, not logically, and I think we all are there. Some people are better than others. I tend to kind of um and it's a work in progress. I can catch myself speaking very quickly versus thinking before I speak.
Hmm.
So if a person is led by emotion, which you're going to have those people that are they tend to speak their mind right then and there, which it can be good. But I think if you speak too quickly, yeah, you kind of then I know I've been in a situation where I said too much, and then next thing you know, like the response, it's like, oh, I didn't really understand what they were saying. So I'm like, oh fuck, like I look like an idiot now because I
Hmm.
spoke too soon and didn't really understand before. So it's like you speak through emotion. And
Right.
I think that's what gets us a lot of times too, is that we speak so much on emotion that you can't be
Mhm.
logical, even like in a growth mindset or a business standpoint, or like you wanting to advance yourself. If you're so led by emotion that all the like you don't really get nowhere. Like there's a cap. Like if you want to start something new, you may emotionally feel like, "Oh, no," and it goes back to speaking, like, negative things. It's like, "Oh, no, I'm not gonna do it because there's like, I may fail at this." It's like, "Okay, yeah, but you're saying that, and you're just going by how you're feeling now, like, you would feel different, like, if you continue to actually, like, follow
Right.
through."
Right.
So I get
But then,
that.
no, I get it too. But I mean, you got to look at the past uh, dictators and all the people that were rulers at one point.
Mhm.
Hitler, for example,
He's a great guy, wouldn't you say? I'm
he
joking.
he was a great guy. I mean, you know what I'm saying? He ruled. He
He got a
led
lot of motherfuckers that follow him.
a lot of motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? If we had Instagram or Twitch at that time, he'd be
50
pretty
million
famous.
followers, at
But
least.
at least he's up there with Elon Musk. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
think him and Elon
Yeah.
Musk would kind of like bump heads here and there, but I think he either take over X
Yeah.
or
I think Trump appointed Elon Musk like some new thing.
oh, it's something in like something with like the Treasury or something like that. I don't
not
know.
the
I know what you're talking about, but
Yeah,
I
he
can't
appointed
hear
him.
it.
So like Trump, and if you haven't seen it, which I'm sure if you cared about it, you would have seen it already. But if you didn't see it, so Elon Musk had Trump on, and he didn't call it an interview. It was more like a chat. He wanted Trump to feel comfortable It wasn't something that was, you know, not, I'm gonna say scripted, but something
Mhm.
more of like an open conversation. And the UK was going on some shit because the UK is fucked up right now. They got a whole bunch of immigrants from like Africa raping motherfuckers and shit. A lot of Middle Eastern countries, like hot, which is going to be like mostly radical Islam type shit, where like they
Mhm.
stabbing motherfuckers and whatnot. And so the UK is falling apart right now because they're letting so many motherfuckers in, and they're very like. And I know a lot of y'all understand that even in these like blue states where like majority of like they're giving so much to immigrants that aren't part of the country more than Americans. But anyway, not to go on a tangent on that, the UK sent Elon Musk a letter about like, oh, you shouldn't interview Trump because of misinformation. And it's like they just didn't want him to say certain things, which is the truth essentially. Like,
Right.
and he did endorse Trump, but even that, like, you're saying something, you're writing a letter because you don't want people to know like the truth, you know? And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
Which I mean, it's basically what we're talking about now, you know what I'm saying? Like we can't say too much
it
to
was bad. I think it was bad like
emphasize
before.
power. Like emphasize power of silence, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah,
So,
that's control. That's
yeah.
the biggest thing is like in control is silence. Like you can't say nothing. I think I talked to you guys before that, and I know like if you're a Democrat, I don't care, but I run pretty red, you know what I mean?
Do you?
But
Interesting.
um
So you were the Bloods.
it's not crazy. I thought about that shit. Like Democrats is blue, you know what I mean? It's like gangs been running this shit for forever, and I guess that's how it's always gonna be. But no, Ted Cruz talked about that. Like he's from like his family's from Cuba, and they talked about like the control. Like first thing they do is take religion out. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying you have to be religious, but religious, like essentially they take religion out because they don't want you to have any other type of belief.
Right.
And so you are their God. And I think that's where like I find kind of wrong in that type of party per se. Is that like, yeah, they try to take your speech, like there's no free speech. And then so they hit Facebook, they hit Twitter, and then Elon Musk bought Twitter.
Right.
And so, but I think it was worse than before. Like, I don't, if you don't remember, like, Kevin Hart went out and it was a joke. He talked about smashing a dollhouse over his son's head if he thought he was gay. You know what I mean? And that he tweeted that shit a long ass time ago, and they hit his ass back. They were like, "If you don't want the Oscars, if you don't want to host the Oscars, then fine, don't apologize." And he said he was not going to apologize for that because it was his art. It was just comedy. He didn't mean nothing by it. And
Yeah.
of course, he ended up apologizing because he wanted that role. Because of course, that would put him in a higher, like that would elevate him that he hosted the Oscars. You know what I mean? Like he was an Oscar host.
I feel
And
like I think America's just is going down the wrong path.
it
You know what
is.
I'm saying?
It is. It
We're
is.
taking away all our freedom,
Mhm.
especially like freedom of speech. Like
That's the main thing.
that's the main thing, dude.
And right, like you should be able to say, I mean, what you want.
Yeah, how are you supposed to
You
communicate
can't
with anybody
control
whenever you
anybody
gotta?
else's feeling.
Yeah, especially when you have to filter things. Come on now.
I
Like if
know.
you can't handle it, then maybe you should go to counseling.
And here's the thing, like you can't, just like we talked about before. Like if you're older and you have to now adapt to this new technology, like we talk about AI. Fuck, I had to ask a friend of mine who's younger than me. He was like, I was like, what does the term sigma mean? And it's like a new slang, and it's
Bro.
about like an alpha dog and shit or whatever, a guy who doesn't simp for women and shit. I was like, all right, thank you, motherfucker. Thanks for letting me know. It's like
Yeah.
everything is moving
Well, I'm
on.
glad I'm glad you mentioned that because my niece and my kids and stuff, they always asking me if I'm a Sigma and stuff, and I don't know what the fuck that is. So I'm
I was
always
like,
saying
what the
no.
fuck is
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, hell no, I'm not no goddamn Sigma.
that?
Whatever the fuck that means.
Shit, now you're like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm a Sigma. Like, you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean? But yeah, like you have to adapt, and I think it makes people soft. Like
yeah.
you have to suppress certain things, but then it's like if you even look at COVID, like how many people lost their jobs because they stood for not getting vaccinated.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like my mom is in a high up position, and she was going through some of like the new protocols about like people who wouldn't take the vaccination, like they were fired. like they almost like I think that those years were like the biggest thing of seeing who would like I think it was a trial run, it was a test. Who would
Mhm.
bend over for being silenced? Who would bend over and just go with the flow? Like who had
Why
backbone?
are you saying it like that though?
Like
Why bend over? Why don't you just say like bend at the knee or something? Why
But, I mean, hey, Diddy knows
Diddy?
when
Hey,
you go to a
Diddy
Diddy
is a good.
party, the best way of submission is I'm gonna bend your ass over.
After this, man, you're gonna be rich.
Right. Give me milk. That's but yeah, no, for real. Like, they make you feel like and then okay, here's another thing. It's either fame, maybe not fame, but let's say prosperity. They put,
Mhm.
okay, if you shut the fuck up, motherfucker, we're gonna give you like $10 million.
Right.
Especially like for a company or like we're gonna promote you. Like
Mhm.
Facebook, I'm sure they got a lot of advertisement. They got a lot of money flowing through because they were supporting the censorship.
Mhm.
So they give you some prosperity with that to put like, and that's where the Bible goes is like money is the root of all evil. Like your morals start to change. It's
Mhm.
like, all right, Chris, I got $100 million for you. I mean, Diddy's got an invite for you. You know what I mean? It's like,
Okay, so you say the money is the root of all evil,
yeah,
but I do want money that brings freedom.
yeah, but you got to give something in return. It's
Yeah,
gonna
but it ain't
change
gonna
you.
be what you think. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, like it's yeah, they make it like where you have to lose
so
yourself
yeah,
a little
they
bit.
they influence you, right? They influence you for an impact. I mean,
Yeah,
and it's crazy how words can, and I think this is why they're trying to censor us, is because words can really affect today. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Once
yeah.
that one person comes out that knows how to put these words together and how to actually
Mhm.
carry it's their weight,
Yeah.
they're gonna be able to gather a following and make people understand like this government is not really here for us. It's trying to suppress us.
And it's funny, like how again, I'm a Christian. It's funny how like things go back to that because like if you look at like the rulers
Hmm.
and Jesus himself, like he spoke. Everything is about speaking. The biggest thing for even a lot of people that try to start, even for us, like you have to
Hmm.
be able to do it well. If you can speak well and manipulate, but even if you look at like these mega churches, um, people that get this following, like um uh that phrase they talk about drinking the Kool-Aid, which was Jim Jones.
Hmm.
He was like a big leader that got all this people to leave their homes and live on this like compound type thing, and then he's like he gets them all to commit suicide. It's like words are powerful, and it no matter how the times change, speakers and people who can talk and manipulate people with words are going to be the most successful. I
Right.
know selling a product is big, you need revenue, but if you get a following, you start to build something.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's how crazy words are, you know?
Yeah. But it kind of and what's funny about this book is that the fourth law is kind of contradicting like how powerful words are, because
Mhm,
then it's emphasizing that the more silence you are,
mhm.
uh the more mysterious you are, then
Yeah,
the more powerful you get, which
yeah.
I do kind of understand that to a certain point, but I don't know, it's just like
It's a strategy. It's
it
knowing
yeah,
how
I
to
guess.
use your words because there's people out there that talk too much and they know that they have a problem. It's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I speak so much where like I kind of put myself in a situation where like now it's like, okay, now I either said the wrong thing, now I have to backpedal from it, or like it's like I think it's also like an anxiety thing. Like they
Yeah,
can't shut the fuck up, so they have to fill information in time. Like
that's
they
like
have
Trump
to
and
say
Harris.
something. Yeah.
Bro, they're always talking out of their ass. I'm not gonna lie, like they both have their flaws. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
Especially when it comes to talking. Like Trump says whatever the fuck he wants.
Hmm.
Harris talks in circles, and
Yeah.
sometimes she doesn't even know what she's talking about. But I mean, the same thing for Trump.
Yeah.
And it's just like these are the people that we're putting in power. right? Whether they're just the face of America and Congress is really the ones running everything.
Mhm.
But
I think then that's where it's like it almost is like we're human though. So Trump is not clearly he's not perfect. He's not a perfect man.
right,
He said a lot of off the wall shit. They were like, "Man, why the fuck would you say that?" And is it the money talking? You know what I mean? Like when you
right,
have so much money, it's like, whatever. Like I'll
yeah.
I'll
Oh
be
yeah,
all right.
there's a
Like
ticket, $10,000. All right.
come on, man. I literally wipe my ass with that. You know what I mean? It shows that we're human, but it's like, and I think you have to give people grace for that. But as far as like them two, Trump has he is dominant in the way of like he carries strength with him,
Yeah.
whereas Harris doesn't at all. And like even right now, I'm not trying to get political, but I like just talking about it. Um, she she says things that don't have substance. So
Hmm.
she's like it's like a word salad. She's just throwing things out to say, but doesn't really get to the point. At
Yeah.
least you know Trump's kind of intention, even though the Harris and Biden, like they have intentions that they try to hide, which
Hmm.
again goes back to silencing free speech. If
Hmm.
it doesn't align with them, then it's a problem.
Right.
And then now you have people that like Facebook coming out saying that this is what their intent was, and even though a lot of us knew it, a lot of us didn't, but I think you have to look at who's going to be the better leader. I don't think any of the foreign policy shit would have happened. I don't think we'd be dealing with the Ukraine and Russia. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Because and even Trump in this interview was talking about like this would have never happened under my leadership. Because he said he had, and of course he embellishes a lot about like how conversations really go down.
Yeah.
But I think Putin understood that Donald Trump, you don't know if this motherfucker's crazy or not. Like you don't know, like if you try these waters, will he actually send our military over and like fuck him up?
Right.
And the same thing with like even if you look at, and again, I know this is kind of going down the rabbit hole, but even if you look at Biden, like the whole Afghanistan pullout, like that was fucked up. Like you sent video, or was it Nelson sent a video of like them like taking all the military, like the shit that we left behind, leaving, like just all the different things. It's like it wasn't very smart, and again, none of this would have happened, I feel, under Trump. And so, again, I don't care if you support whoever, but all I'm saying is, and this is what I want from Democrats. I don't care if you voted for Biden. I just want you to say, it's like, motherfucker, we fucked up. Like, all right, just say you fucked up. Because even they had Democrats looking like, oh shit, like, what the hell? You know what I
Right.
mean? But
Right.
anyway.
Right. This man. This man. All right. So let me ask you. Let me ask you. All
Yeah.
right. So to be impactful, especially these days,
Mhm.
what is some advice that you would give to the younger generation and how to be silent but impactful, and at least in everyday, especially like in school and stuff, you know?
Yeah. Um, I think a lot of it is for one, it's going to be by trial and error. That's one thing.
Hmm.
But two, it's gonna. I think the best thing would be to see the impact of your words. So, like the fact that sometimes you may want to be vocal about how bad somebody's doing, right?
Hmm.
But if you say that, that's gonna may put a target on your back. Okay,
Hmm.
so like, okay, what is and I've dealt with that. I think we've all dealt with that. Me personally, I deal with that all the time. So, like, you saying what you're saying, is that going to advance you or is it going to put you more in a hardship?
Hmm.
So, learning that is going to be one. Sometimes if you saying one thing, if it's not going to help the situation right then and there, then probably don't say it.
Right.
Even if it's a criticism for somebody else. Now, if you can work through that to maybe better the situation, then sure, maybe have a different like way of attacking that. But if it's not impactful at the moment and it may cause you hardship down the road, then probably evaluate it.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's an actual solution for it that you can actually accomplish, then I think be more vocal. And even in the book talks about, if you see your leader start to fall off, allow him to make those mistakes, which some people can take that as being not manipulative, but having like this dark intent for another person to fail.
Right.
But in the book, it talks about then you taking that torch and then you then progressing on. And I know that is just how life is.
Yeah.
Like the best survive, and that's where like the weak will fail.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is a life lesson in that you have to understand that if you're not cut out for it, then you will fall behind. And that's just how
Mm-hmm.
life is.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is when to use that to your advantage at the time. Because if you know you're still not ready yet to take the torch, then maybe keep things on the down low for a little bit. Because all only thing that's going to happen is if you start to speak your mind in a certain way, it may even push you out of the projection of you maybe taking that position, because that, like we talked about, was it law 2 talks about not outshining your superior or your master. I don't like the term master, but just the book talks about master. But
Yeah, that was law 1.
okay, law 1. So like in that sense, what happens if you saying something then pushes you further away from your goal? Because then now they say you're a threat, so I'm going to kind of move you out of that position. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I completely agree. I
You know what I
think
mean? So maybe think a little bit before.
mhm.
Like if you can't help, then maybe just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I completely agree. I feel like you're essentially just saying let your actions speak uh than your words.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
You
Because
know, I
not
think also getting a mentor is cool too.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, and
yeah,
we talked about that. Like, if you have a good
we did.
mentor, you can
Especially on
always
the last
bounce
episode
ideas.
with Elijah.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. If you have a good
that was
mentor that's been in a position, they can also help you better. It's
mhm.
just those that are trying to starting out on their own, or maybe they don't have that,
Right.
just yet. That can be tough because now you're living life more of like bumps and bruises, where
Yeah.
your experiences are your life lessons. So that's where you're going to get that knowledge from.
Yeah.
But, that's my
No,
thought and opinion.
now, yeah, like I said, I completely agree. I mean, obviously, presence is also going to matter a lot. Your body language, your demeanor. Um, so when people like respect other people, they see how confident and not necessarily controlling, but at least controlling of themselves and how he controls his situations. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if I see somebody who cannot control their words and just sporadically just say whatever they want,
Hmm.
trying to
It's a
affect the other
liability.
person, it's a liability. Yeah,
It is
yeah.
very much a liability. Yeah.
So
Because,
is
yeah, I think there's a good thing with having no filter at times, but there's also a time where you need to have that.
mm-hmm,
Because, yeah, like you're really not like you're not controlling anything. It's a different
exactly.
entity controlling everything you feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah,
Yeah. No,
100%.
definitely, definitely. I mean, it's just I think there was another thing where uh I had on my notes, and for some reason I didn't bring my notes today.
Oh,
But leveraging your
King
emotions,
Nelson.
you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Leveraging your emotions, and what I mean by that is like, um, again, being composed, calm, uh, not being impulsive,
Yeah.
controlled silence. You know, obviously only speak uh, whenever you're basically, like you're only speaking whenever you're in control. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
You know what's a big thing that I think that most of us fail at is being able to process our words before we say them.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it, a lot of people, even when it comes to public speaking, it's you can't process something, so you begin to use like filler words, or like they
hmm
say long. pauses in speaking is great because it gives, for one, the audience to have something to think about,
Yeah.
before you just. But yeah, I don't think we struggle with processing things and then saying them and being okay with like silence, because
Hmm.
sometimes silence is good.
It
And
is.
even like Jordan Peterson and other people that are big speakers talk about, like, sometimes it's good to have these silences and it's okay. It's better to be silent and then fill in with good information or good points versus
Hmm.
just having a word salad like Kamala Harris. She says a lot of crazy shit. I mean,
She does.
or she
I
just
mean,
says things.
so does Trump. So does Trump.
I know the whole grabbing the pussy thing. I know that shit never die. Like, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh my god, like this motherfucker." I get it, but it's I I don't know, but yeah,
It's it's all about timing. I think it's all about timing.
yeah,
Especially when negotiating like social settings and like business settings and stuff,
mm,
If you practice your timing, you practice your words, don't use filler words, obviously like what you just said. Will definitely elevate your presence.
mhm. Yeah. It's one of those things where it's always a practice that you always have to perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
So like
Oh
for
yeah.
me, like I'm looking into like Olympic lifting. And
Hmm.
one of the big things that they talk about is like, yeah, you think you learn something, but it's always something that you have to reteach yourself
Hmm.
to make it something that will stick. So it's
Yeah.
always going to be a thing that you have to work on. It's one of those skills that you can. And as it should. I mean, everybody has to perfect it and keep seeing how they can get better.
Right. It's all about the fundamentals, right? You
Mm,
gotta you gotta perfect the fundamentals before you can actually move on. That's
yeah,
why I tell my kids all the time, especially when in sports. Like if you can perfect your fundamentals, everything else is gonna come to you easily.
yeah,
You
and
know,
it's getting them when they're young. So like even when we talk about the AI thing,
brother. Even when they're young, it's a pain in the ass to
yeah,
teach.
yeah,
You know what's it pisses me off the most is that I'll teach my kids a certain move or a certain thing in a sport, and then they won't listen to a lick of anything I
I
say.
know because they
And
see
then
you
we'll
explain.
hire and then we'll hire a fucking trainer, and then he'll say exact same thing, and they're over here nodding their head like, "Damn, you're speaking fucking wisdom,
Dude,
boy."
let me tell you,
Some,
I deal
sometimes
with
I
that
just
with my
want to,
with my girl. Like
yeah,
like Maddie, I'm like, I say one thing and her dad says it, and it's like she's like, "Oh, you know what dad said?" I was like, I've been fucking telling you that like for a while now. And she's like, "Yeah,
bro. That
yeah,
shit
dude, that's like the
pisses
fucking
me
worst
off,
thing." But yeah,
man.
but so like here and this is transitioning into thing that I was talking with my eldest about.
Hmm.
So she was playing. Did your kids play Roblox? By
Yes, yes,
Okay,
they do.
she was playing this fucking game where she had to like, I guess it's like a building, and you can either keep building like different levels, like
Hmm.
floors, like stories. So she had to build this building with like 20 some odd stories. So it's a tall ass fucking building, and they're like apartments, right?
Hmm.
But she says it's a house. It's a house that you own, and then you can buy children. And they had
What?
you could purchase children by the age. And if you were a teenager, you spend more money versus a baby. And I'm like, and I'm looking, and her character had like $4.3 million. I'm like, are they teaching you motherfuckers how to child traffic? And she's like, I don't know, dad. I'm just buying fucking babies. She had fucking babies crawling around shitting everywhere. I'm like, why is that baby shitting everywhere? And she's like, oh, he doesn't have a diaper. I said, but you bought furniture for this new apartment and you bought more babies. You can't buy this motherfucker like diapers. So just seeing that shit, it makes me kind of like nervous. Like, damn, dude, what kind of games they got? We were talking
Yeah.
about AI, right? So on our drive home, Abel just does gymnastics, and I pick them up from there, and they come hang out with me every other
Hmm.
weekend. And and so we're driving home, and she was talking about her friend talking about GTA 6, Grand Theft
Hmm.
Auto 6 and shit. And she meant, and I never thought that she would ever mention Grand Theft Auto like ever. And I'm like, "What the fuck you know about GTA 6?" And she's like, "Oh, it's not me, it's my friend." I'm like, "You know what they do in there? Like, I could fucking sell drugs on there, I'm sure." I was
Right.
like,
Yeah.
and I didn't know, like, I thought most kids had sex ed. I did explain to her, like, prostitution in the game. I was like, "Wait, do you know about sex?" And she was like, "No, not really." I was like, "You don't have sex ed?" And I had to explain, I was like, this fucking game." And so it's just seeing, like, what these kids know nowadays
Yeah.
is, like, fucking nuts. So
It is. I think it's, to me at least, like kids are like like the education system just teaches them certain things now.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? Instead of like how we used to get, or how we used to be taught.
yeah,
Like it was always like a it was always like, this is what you're gonna be taught throughout the entire year and stuff.
yeah,
And it's gonna happen throughout years, no matter how many generations there is. And then all of a sudden they just start switching it up.
mhm,
So
yeah,
now whenever I ask my kids certain questions and stuff, bro, I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I noticed one thing. So my eldest is gonna be she's in 8th grade now, she'll be going into
Mhm,
college. We talked about education, we talked about what you want your kids to know. So in Harvard, which they had a trip to Harvard at her school.
mhm.
In Harvard, you can take a course on Taylor Swift. I'm not
That's so
making that up.
stupid.
They
That's so
pay
stupid.
you pay money to learn about Taylor Swift.
What can she possibly value your life?
So obviously she's a billionaire, right? So
Is she?
I don't yeah, fuck yeah. I think
There's no
she
way,
is.
dude. There's no
Dude, Taylor
way.
Swift?
Yeah, Taylor
Taylor
Swift.
Swift, dude, this mother yeah, no. She's got a huge following. Like great. I mean, you gotta think it's pretty much a lot of moms out there. Then you have the children. Like we had her cousins had a Taylor Swift party, and they're
Mhm,
like still like relatively young. And so for me, I'm pretty much a conservative dad, so I'm like really not into it because it's like Taylor Swift is an adult and she's not giving a message out for young kids like Alice is 4. So like there's not a whole lot from Taylor Swift that I want her teaching my daughter besides for like her being in and out of like a lot of relationships, which I
mhm.
know in Hollywood that's like the thing for like content. You have to go through experiences to be able to write about it and make music of it. But like she's a big like kind of idol for that. So
Oh,
like
yeah?
Harvard, you can like I'm sure you're looking it up, like you can take a course on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I mean, you're right about her being a billionaire. Forbes declared the singer Taylor
Oh yeah,
Swift a
dude.
billionaire October 2023.
Yeah. Oh, she's making jack. She's
She's
making
that's why you got to be what was it, the Kelsey, what is it, the Swifty Kelsey team, or what
Kelsey,
was it?
40. What is it? Not the Chiefs, right?
Yeah,
Kansas City
Travis
Chiefs.
Kelsey and Taylor Swift. What was it, the Swifty team? Or
Maybe.
I don't
Fuck. I
know.
don't. Are they still? Are they still together? Or are they broken
I
up?
don't know.
So
I
there
don't
was a
know.
conspiracy about like the NFL wanting to plot that together because now all the like the moms are like making like Kansas City Chiefs shit because Taylor Swift is out like at the all the games and whatnot. So like that boosted like views of like the NFL and shit like that. So there's a lot of conspiracy theories about that.
Yeah.
But
Well, okay. So have you seen his past exes?
they're all black.
Yeah. They're all
He's
black. They're
he's
all,
into
whether
sisters.
they're mixed, they're
Yeah, like
there's
he's
some
into
type of,
sisters.
yeah, yeah.
That's what they
And
say.
then
Everything is like you can't really believe what you see because it's like, could this be a plot? Like, is this a plant?
right,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
to
And,
help the Chiefs out.
right, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I don't know, but like when it comes to like teaching your kids, it's like now you have to kind of consider like what they're being taught. So even so, like talking to my eldest about like school, I know you like sometimes you see and you ask them questions and you're like, wait, what are you learning? So her history class, her social studies class, and I know it's history. Everybody's focusing very much on civil rights
Hmm.
and like how the U.S. was a colonizer when it comes to like Native Americans and taking land. So they're learning a lot about that shit. But one thing that was odd to me, and I explained to her, I'm like, listen, you're gonna hear a lot of like anti like America shit. Like as far as like you're gonna see the roots of America. And I think that's where people take it to the extreme where like you hate Americans and you hate and that's why they get them so young. So out of 8th grade, her social study class, then in going into high school, they have these clubs right out of high school connected to her social studies class for them to be activists in a way. And to me, I find kind of odd because it's like you're almost painting a path for kids to then start to protest against America. And then
Mhm.
you're protesting against like this um radical like race theory and shit like that. And I see it.
Yeah.
I can see it in her school already. And that's what's fucking hard. Like you start saying stuff. Like they had a tour for Harvard. Harvard's very generally liberal. And
Mhm.
so it's like, but like you don't want your child to be raised that way. You open up your mouth, you say too much. Now it's like, is your kid a target? Do they start putting you on like a watch list? It's like, are you now considered like a bigot or whatever? Just because you don't want your kids to be taught that way. You know what I mean?
Right. I
And
mean,
so,
so what are you doing then?
in a way,
I don't mean to put you on the spot or anything,
yeah.
but this is a perfect like this is
So okay,
perfect.
so this is what I did. I explained to my daughter like what she's about to experience.
Mhm.
So I gave her information to block out their information. It's like, okay, motherfucker, like you're about to hear a whole bunch of shit that may make you feel bad. Now, my kids are obviously mixed, right?
Right.
But like, when it comes to like those sort of things, I tell her, it's like, this is what you're gonna learn. Yes, things have happened, but everything evolves. And just because something may started negatively, which if you think about some of the things that America did, yeah, it's not great, but there's a lot of things that are primitive. You know what I mean? I think was it Joe Rogan or it may have been Dave Chappelle? I think it was Dave Chappelle.
Mhm.
He made a joke, and it was regarding like if you went back in time and you were talking to a motherfucker that used to like cut a motherfucker's head off. You're like, oh, I was doing this, and I cut this motherfucker head off, and I went to jail. And he was like, "Oh, you can't do that shit no more. Like, that wasn't legal back when I was. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
things change, and it was just a norm. Not saying it was right, but like, so I had to pre warn her. It's like just because they tell you it's all white people are hate minorities. It's not always true. And I
Mhm.
want her to be able to find her own belief, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I don't want them to make her a robot. I don't want her
Yeah.
to make an Elon Musk humanoid where she's just like everybody else. She's not a free thinker because they get them when they're kids. They put their
Mhm.
ideas, they put their beliefs in the children because they're with them more than they're at home. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
that's the thing. So my tactic is to let her know, listen, I know you think your social study teacher is a nerd, which he looks like a nerd. This motherfucker looks like he works at GameStop. I'm not even bullshitting. We did an open house. This motherfucker was like in a Skyrim t-shirt and he had like he had like khaki shorts and shit. And he just didn't seem like a guy that fit that narrative. I'm
Right.
not fucking profiling, but it was just very odd. I just told her, I was like, you can have your own belief. You don't have to believe what they believe. You learn the information, you get good grades. You don't have to fall in line with everybody else.
Right. No, I agree. Like, I mean, you know what it sounds like though?
But
They're kind of like subliminating, like telling her, "Hey, don't believe what they say and just believe what
mhm,
I'm saying."
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Well,
uh, and that's where like everything starts, right? Like
mm, yeah.
the greatest teachers is the parents,
We
and
talked
then
about this.
whatever,
We
huh?
talked about people who can speak and talk.
Yep.
You get a following.
You get a
My
following.
daughter being the only single person out of all her other friends that believe one thing, she's gonna fall in line with that. You have
Mm-hmm.
to be a strong enough parent to teach them values that you can be outside the norm and
Mm-hmm.
be okay and live comfortably versus being outside of that. If the kids don't believe in being outside of a group, then they feel like they are almost subjected to being a part of a group to live life comfortably, having
Yeah.
friends, having people with the same beliefs, so that means you bend over backwards. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, if the teachers, being that prophet, that person that can speak to them, And then you have social media, like the Biden Harris administration suppressing or censoring information. You have this group. It is a huge thing where it's hard to combat that. You got to
Yeah.
combat social media. You got to combat the schooling, which is where they're at majority of the time. So, like, I mean, it's a big problem. It's a big problem,
Hmm.
but you have to start with them being comfortable with being different. Like, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
believe what the fuck you believe, and that's okay. You know?
No, and it's true. It's true. Completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. I mean, I don't want my kids to again follow into other people's footsteps just because everybody else is doing it.
Yeah.
I also want my kids to be free thinkers and actually know what is right and wrong.
Yeah.
You
You know, the
know,
only thing that was positive that I was, I was like, Kamala Harris was going on this whole tangent about, I want daycare for babies. And first of all, she changes her accent wherever she's at.
did you see the reporter that asked the speaker for the White
Yeah,
House
I see
about
that
that?
shit. You gotta pull
I don't
it
know.
up.
Now, so I don't know the entire context because they,
Yeah.
they chop and they chop it up and stuff.
Yeah.
But from what the video looked like, is they're like he asked that question and everything, and then the speaker basically said, "Hey, that's doesn't matter. The people don't care, all that other
Mhm.
crap, right?" Which I kind of agree and stuff. But then it it cut to a scene where she's like, "All right, well, I'm done here," and then just left.
Mhm.
Now I don't
Yeah.
know how true that is, and I obviously I'm a fact checker, so and I haven't done my dues yet and
Yeah.
actually checked to see if that was true, but I was just like
Yeah, she does
what do
tend
you
to
think
run.
whenever somebody has to like change their accent just to
I think they race bait, and that's the only thing. Like, they really
this
do.
this campaigns on both sides really look like they're doing it because even with Trump brought in two Puerto Rican rappers, and he
Oh,
even
I
said
seen
it.
that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And he even said it on
That's
when
a very good point. Yeah.
right before they came up. This is going to be great for the Puerto Rican voters.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this is all about race
That is
now.
true. It's all about persuasion.
Yeah.
And that's why public speaking, people who are like big even what we try to build, being maybe a personality, that's why everybody hits fucking all these celebrities. Like the Biden administration would hit up Taylor Swift, or they'll hit up, like, I think even one of the conventions, Will I Am was there.
Hmm.
Who was there?
Barack Obama, Michelle
Oh, of
Obama.
course. Yeah, I think they're running her campaign.
What is
Um,
it? Not Cardi B. Megan the
Megan Thee
Stallion.
Stallion. They had the guy who he makes Spizikes. I don't know if you're into Jordans.
Can the hell is Spizikes?
Spizikes. They're a mixture between a Jordan 4 and another Jordan.
I don't know. They also had what's his name
Mixed
from
two.
Migos?
Did they really?
Yeah,
Offset?
they had
Or
him.
is he dead?
Was it Offset? I don't know. I don't know
Which
which
one's
Migos
dead?
was dead. I don't know.
Um, I don't know. You're not. I don't know if you're in the right. Rich homie Quan died. I don't. I saw that on
I saw
the
that. Yeah.
news this morning at the gym.
Was it an overdose?
I don't know. It's hard to know
Maybe.
because it's like everything's like gang related. Like so many of these rappers get killed. Like one dude I seen, he's a up and coming, and there's like what do the kids call it? It's not. It used to be mumble rap, and then there's mumble rap, and then there's a different type of rap.
Trap.
It's, yeah, trap, but there's something else. Maybe it's trap, but this dude was a rapper, and he went to one of his ops' grave, and
Mhm.
he was digging up his grave and shit. And anyway, he was on a bike, and these motherfuckers straight laid him out, execution style, and dumped on him. So it's hard to know like what these motherfuckers are dying from nowadays.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But um,
No,
but yeah, I don't know.
it's crazy. It's
It
crazy.
is very much so. Oh
But
yeah,
no, I mean this has been a good talk.
I think it's been a good talk.
It's been a good talk.
I
I
think
mean,
I,
obviously, we've hit on a lot of things right now in this episode.
mhm.
Especially being don't say too much. You always want to
Yeah,
be um, very impactful with the society that you are around and stuff. So obviously, avoiding mistakes, being mysteriously but authoritative. Is
yeah,
that a word? Authoritative.
maybe. I don't know. I'm
It
not.
sounds good. I
I'm
mean,
not web
concealing your intentions. We talked about impacting, influencing, um, just being in control and stuff. And then obviously, I've asked you the question of like, what's the best way to be impactful but silent?
Yeah.
And you gave a great response, especially whenever you're uh, use your actions more than your words and stuff. Actively listening, creating to create some tension. Um, by using silence as a power tool,
Mhm.
um and then I kind of added on to body language and stuff like eye contact and just being within the area and stuff, being there without actually saying anything,
Yeah.
and then so our next episode is going to be about reputation, like
Mm.
how impactful is your reputation
Oh,
towards everybody. You know what I'm saying? And
that's
I think that's going to be a good episode too,
that's gonna
especially
be a
since
good episode.
everything's like intertwining with everything, especially all the episodes and stuff. Well, this is going to be our 13th episode. So
13.
13,
13.
13. So
We're trying to get some products to you guys too to help
we
support.
are, yeah,
We're
we are.
coming up.
We had some sweaters that we put together and stuff. They're not quite finished yet.
Yeah.
We're thinking about you getting some coasters and
Yeah, we're working
you
on
know what I'm
some
saying?
things.
We're putting some shit together,
Now, are we
you
gonna
know.
have Nelson back? I know Nelson's kind of working, and you know more about it with him still being in the service. So,
Yeah,
are
so
you
he
think
right
we're gonna
now they're actively training and everything. So I don't believe they'll be here within the month.
have? Okay,
So I can't say where they're at.
sure.
That's no, you gotta have a top secret.
I'm glad I didn't say too much.
Yeah, so no, but
Yeah,
they're definitely out there putting in the work and stuff. And I know Nelson, that he's definitely this actually could have been a good episode for him because especially in the position that he's in, being a platoon sergeant and stuff.
yeah,
And he's the one that uh definitely shows his authority without actually saying anything. And it's actually quite interesting how he moves. But
yeah.
again, thank you for coming. Thank you for
Thank you.
joining.
Thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
watching.
listening.
Please comment. We want to hear what you think.
Yep. If you want to be
And
part of the show, go ahead and comment legacy. You know what I'm saying? So that way we know that you actually do want to be part of the show. We'll contact you and actually see what you're about and what you can bring to the show. And
yeah,
if you're on it, you're on it. If you're not, you're not. I'm sorry, but like
we got merch coming. We're working. We're
we're
gonna be
working.
moves
We're
and coming up with
we're
different.
moving in the shadows too. So
Yep, yep,
we're trying
for
to
sure.
make this better for everybody. And obviously we're gonna hear everybody out. But again, tune in to next week, Sunday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time.
Yeah,
And
it's been a
tune
pleasure,
in.
y'all. I'm
It's been a
gonna
pleasure.
tap
Suck
that.
on my coke, dude.
I can't feel my lips anymore, so that's good. I'm sipping on the Jack.
Yeah. All right, bro.
Thank you. All right, it's been great.
All right.